I'm often asked, how do I get into basketball videography? What camera do I need? What do I need to get started? Well, I've put together my top 3 tips for anyone looking to get into basketball media. Hello and welcome back. So I've been a basketball videographer for the past 4 years, and for anyone looking to get into sports media in general, it can be a bit tricky to know where to start. It's like you can see yourself where you want to be, and you just don't know how to get there yet. And I always appreciate people reaching out and asking me for advice on cameras or what content to make, because I remember myself being in exactly the same position at one stage. So I've put together 3 quick tips that will hopefully help you out if you're starting out in the world of sports videography. Let's start off with the obvious: cameras. Whether you're a beginner or a professional, everyone wants the best cameras, everyone wants the best lenses, but you don't need a good camera to make good content. When I first started out making videos, and this wasn't just sports videos, this was just videos in general, I had a Panasonic SD90 camcorder that was nowhere near the best camera on the market at the time. So whatever camera you end up using, don't worry if it's not as good as others. That being said, because I know that doesn't really help, if you are looking for a camera to start out with, then here are a few that I've come across that might be good for sports video, but as always, please do your research. So a few that I have here on my list: I've got the Sony a6500, the Sony ZV-E10, and I think there's also a second version of that now. The Sony a7 III, which honestly I wanted for the longest time, but I know it's slightly higher in terms of budget, but it is an absolutely solid camera and arguably worth the investment. And then of course, how am I going to not include the GH5, which was the camera I started out with. It was refurbished through Panasonic on eBay. So again, if you're looking to buy a camera, definitely look to see if you can get it refurbished or second-hand, just to save you some money. Currently, I shoot on a Sony FX30, and I hope to do a video in the future talking a little bit more about using this camera, because I've had enough time now that I've kind of got used to it and some of the things that I really like about it. Tip number 2 is about what to post. Since what you end up making will determine what you shoot, it's important to know what it is you want to make. So my advice is, and I've said this to a few people already, look at what the creators you like are doing, understand why you like it, and then try and replicate that in your work. If anyone's read Steal Like an Artist, I think that point is probably made better in there than I just did, but the principle is the same. I'll admit, so much of my work is a mix of creators that I like, and I've sort of taken little bits of each of them to adapt into my own work until I've ended up finding my own style and something that feels a little bit more like my own voice. Again, I want to do a future video about some of the creators that I've been inspired by and some whose work that I really look forward to seeing. But if you want a bit more of a pointer, sports video content for me usually falls into one of 3 categories. Not all the time, but generally. It's either highlights, mixtapes, or interviews. Or sometimes even a combination of the 3. Just remember, don't worry if it's not perfect, and just make sure that you have the permission of the team, the player, or the organization that you're filming. And lastly, I don't feel like enough people talk about this, but I think it's important to know where you want your content to actually be shown. Obviously, not every social media platform is the same, and not every platform caters to the same kind of content. Or at least on some platforms, you'll find that your content performs a lot better than it does on others. For me, I find the safest place to share content is Instagram. It's a great place for videos, great place for photos. There's different ways that you can post it. It also feels like over the years, Instagram seems to have adapted lots of different bits of other social media platforms, so it's just kind of versatile across the board. And I might be wrong in saying this, and it might vary depending on which country you're in, but I feel like it's the platform where you can pretty much find any team, any athlete. I didn't even mention the whole collabing feature. I might have talked about this before, but that is so cool. Big fan of that. Makes things so much easier. TikTok is also a good option, although I think it depends a little more on the style and substance of your content. Similar to Instagram, it's great for short form vertical content and maybe even better for stuff shot on a mobile phone. Whatever you prefer, it's just an important thing to keep in mind so that you can make the right content for the right platform. It's something I try to keep an eye on now, where styles and different trends change over time, and so you find you have to adapt your content to that. So those are my top 3 tips if you're looking to get started as a sports videographer. If you're watching this and you want to add your own advice, or you want to ask me a question, then please feel free to leave it in the comments below. I do try to respond to everyone as best I can, and I'll always admit if I don't know something, but at least I can try and point you in the right direction. I'll almost definitely do another one of these in the future where I can go into a bit more depth about some things, but I kind of just wanted to give you a baseline level. These are my top 3 tips for anyone, and hopefully anyone can learn from it. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, and also check out JLR Videography on Instagram and TikTok But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.